Let me share my screen. All right. Can you guys see my screen right now? All right, cool. Yeah, so today what we're going to talk about is analytics for your startups. And then so far, what we have done, both like a product side, user interview, marketing, growth, right? So I assume that's all company or pretty much like all for companies, you do have a list of the potential users and customers who already like sign up, right? And second one is a product will be launched soon, or like some of the companies you already launched a product. So basically you're ready to test with the users who already sign up your product. And then go-to-market strategy, simply speaking, how to acquire users, what channels you can use it in order to acquire users. And then once you acquire users, and when you start to do, once you start to do product testings, you do have an idea what could be the North Star metrics. Just could be like a usage. Any of the simple metrics could be fine. The thing is, you do have an idea what you want to track. And then another one is from the marketing, sales, product, customer support, user interview, any of the like entire customer journey. You do have a like you should start to have like a clear idea what's the growth equation for your product as well. That's like we have discussed so far up to like week 7, right? And then today, what we're going to talk about is analytics. So question could be, why do you need to analyze your startups, right? Any volunteer who wanted to answer? All right, go ahead, Taiho.
You need to analyze your startup because you need to know whether your company is doing well, like if you're generating profit and you're on a way to growth, because if it's not, you're going to probably have to think of something else to do in order to save your company.
Oh yeah, that's a great answer. So many of like as you guys know, the startup, the difference between like a startup business, also like the SMB like normal business is startup is usually designed to scale the business model in order to like with a scalable business model, right? So it means once you start to make money, you do have like a potential to make tons of money very quickly to compare other like traditional business. However, of course, in that case, it's better to have like a revenue as a North Star metrics because it's just connected to like a business performance too, right? The thing is, realistically speaking, it is quite difficult for the startups to make money. So that's why many of like investors, they prefer to invest a SaaS company because like they started to charge from the software from the customers since day one, right? The thing is, the Taiho's like answer was great because like for startups, if you cannot make revenue, if you cannot set the revenue as a North Star matrix, what could be other ideal metrics that you can see your companies or your product is doing well or not, right? That's why you need to understand that's why you need to analyze your startups. And then this is kind of like a metaphor. So if you are basically like a pilot, you want to have like some kind of like like having a user data is riding on the cockpit of your plane. So if you're a pilot, basically you're not gonna fly airplane without any data, right? Syndicate any like signal gives you like your height, speed, wind, any like factors what's going to affect to your airplane, right? Or maybe you can fly without any data. But thing is, in order to reach out to like a specific destination, you want to make sure that's going to happen fastest and easiest, right? Otherwise, you're just gonna fly somewhere forever, but it doesn't guarantee you're gonna reach out to the specific destination, right? So that's why having a data is basically riding in the cockpit of your plane, right? And to do so, basically set up, you need to like start to think about what could be the ideal tool you can use it. But before like talking about tools, you need to have like some kind of like a dashboard. Even like this could be like a simply speaking like a spreadsheet at the early stage company like you guys. But the thing is like why you need to have a dashboard. The one reason is help focus team members' attention on the key trend and metrics. And second one is allow you to share findings with the whole company, which encourage more participation in the growth effort. And then constant visibility to the numbers increase the team's ability to positively impact the metrics they are responsible for significantly. Means it's not necessary to like visualize very like a fancy like a graph pie chart and stuff too. I think it's more like making sure how you're performing your company. What's the difference between last week? What's the difference between like this week? What you want to achieve like next week too, right? So my suggestion for the early stage companies, you just can create like a spreadsheet. You just can like add it to like day, week, like week 1, August, week 2nd, week 3rd, week 4th. You do have like a month to track by the end of like this program, and then you can see what's like North Star matrix, and then you can add it to like a breakdown of the growth equation to the number of the signing up, number of like user interview, ideal like a potential customer, etc., etc. All right. And then how to understand users' behavior. So different type of like a product. And then Johannes actually like mentioned something like before, especially for like a Google Analytics. So I wanted to make sure that's before you guys start to use it, you should choose the right tool. And then, for example, like a PHP-based analytics tool like Google Analytics. And then another one is the event-based analytics tool such as Mixpanel and the Amplitude, right? And then PageView is good for marketing activities or media business because you can see how many people who visit and then how many like views you get it from the user's behavior too, right? And then another one is a Mixpanel and Amplitude. Event-based analytics tool is a good to understand users' behavior. It takes time in order to implement a specific like event in the part of your user experience of the like a customer journey, right? The thing is, as you do so, you do have like a better understanding of the user's behavior. Yeah, there is signs here. And then talking about analytics tool, first one is a Google Analytics. This is a PHP-driven paradigm held over from what was important in the early 20s. So they started to do it after like a web application become like quite popular. What they can do is the PHP website visitors and how they find your website. So that's why it is good for like tracking all the vanity metrics. That's I'm going to explain you later, but things more like, again, number of the impression, number of the views, number of the visitors for your site, right? And then what they cannot do is it doesn't answer whether a user clicked on the call to action button. If they abandon their cart, for example, if you're talking about like, any of the, consumer, like a marketplace type of like product, how far they got into sign up, or what's the part that the page they were tracking before they convert, because it doesn't have like a map here too, right? So you really don't know which like a bottom, which area they are like spending time. At least you can see how many views you can get it in a specific like a web page, right? I'm gonna open up like a question later, so let me explain like this one too. And then second tool is the more event-based analytics tool. First one is a Mixpanel. Mixpanel is aimed to help companies to build a beloved product with a leading analytics software for mobile and web. So if you are building any type of like a mobile or web application, Mixpanel could be like useful. Another one is the Amplitude. Amplitude is an analytics platform for mobile and web. So it's like the same as like a Mixpanel. It is designed to help organizations segment users and analyze funnel, retention, and revenue. And if you start to use it, what you can do is to collect events and then analyze those events. And then my previous company, we use like both like Mixpanel and Amplitude. But the thing is, you need to have the kind of like a clear idea what type of like a cohort. Cohort means like group of users. How you want it to like analyze it. So in order to like set up these like a software, actually you need to have like a clear idea at least what's the kind of like a growth equation, what's like North Star matrix, what type of like a specific like a KPI you want to track. Because like before that, you can they can give you like some kind of like very simple template, number of like daily users, number of the sign up, etc. etc. It doesn't mean like it is like a good or like it fit to your service, right? So I mean, happy to like talk about it like a detail about your growth equation and any type of KPI you want to track. But thing is like probably if you're building like a web application, Mixpanel and Amplitude could be useful. But thing is, I need to like double check if like a Google Analytics they do have like an update or not. And then my last suggestion is my last startup, we used Redash. How we did it was basically we stored our data at the AWS and then built our own data visualize tools called like Redash. The reason we used Redash, not for the Google Analytics or Aperture, the mixed panel, we use like all of them. The thing is, the reason was our service was like a messaging platform. It could be basically a new platform, also like a new context as well. So new like content as well. So any of the tools, previous tool didn't work for us, right? Because they cannot track the voice data. They cannot track the like any specific new application. That's why we need to build everything by ourselves. And what we can do back then was an optimized event. We wanted to track, right? So that's why we use it, the Redash, because some point we started to have like more users, and these like a previous application, Google Analytics and Mixpanel and Amplitude, they are not good enough for us. So like basically we assigned the one engineers and he built everything for us. So all the teams, we can access like a dashboard and we can see how users are using our product. And then we can see their performance as well, right? This is like, just like a tools. Any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. In that case, yes, go ahead, Johannes.
Maybe a short comment. I still think Google Analytics can do more than you realize, because at least what I remember, you can, and I was trying to Google now, you can use Google Analytics and then have plugins to see more. For example, cart abandonment. Like the only thing you can't do is to track individual users. So I guess that's a difference maybe from the other tools as well.
Right. No, yeah, that's if you do have like any update, it could be great that you could share on the Slack channel too.
Yeah, I check. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Awesome. And then to do so, basically, like a simple question could be where you can start, right? How you can start to like track like these like data. And then simple question should be, are people using your product or not? I mean, you build, you reach out to like a potential user and customers, you ask them, hey, this is a new link, you can start to use it. And then the thing is, after you test it a week or like a second week, you need to like think about, you need to ask yourself, are they really using your product or not? It's really like a simple question, but thing is actually, it's ended up like happened to like many of like my service I built before with my team was people really don't use it. People just use once. The thing is even like difficult for us to get it like twice, 3 times or 10 times, right? More usage. And then how you can tell is that's kind of like we discussed before, the part of the user interviews, like, the user interview, like a market research, different things. But thing is like a very like simple 3 questions. First one is the purpose, right? Why do they use your product, right? And second one is a call action. What is a key behavior that you expect they are going to do it, right? And cycle is how do they use it the frequently you expect. This one should be already like a cover based on the your user interview you have done, right? You kind of already have the idea what's the existing tools they are using, how much they are spending money, how much like they are spending like a time, how often do they like use existing like tools, and how often do they face like these like problems. So you do I suppose like you do have like some kind of like idea for like user behavior. I think it's based on that one. Once you launch your product, update them, hey, this is a link, you can start to use it. But the thing is that you can see probably the gap between the things they told you, the things you expected, and what's the reality if they are using your product or not, right? So, all right. And then I'm just gonna give you like a free example. And Grey Rock partners, they are like one of the well-known VCs. They gave us the, I just gonna like share the link. That's could be like a reference. But thing is, this one could be like a great example for you guys too. So talking about the LinkedIn, when they launched it like in 2005, main purpose of the user is the find, also to be found. Because the 2 reasons was people wanted to do like a networking professionally, Another one is a recruiter. They want to find a potential workforce for their companies too, right? That's why main purpose is to find in order to network, to be found by recruiter, right? And then core action is the cycle. Find one is the research, search for the other members. That's more like a networking purpose, but it's not like a daily base. Generally speaking, they expect it. LinkedIn users, they do use LinkedIn twice or 3 times a week. And then second one is to be found, right? That's more like, recruiting purpose, like changing your job, right? And responding to inquiry when you receive them once or twice a year, right? Because when you change your job, I mean, I'm not sure like a type on the quota, like you have done any like a part-time job or like any apply for like any like summer internship and stuff. The thing is at least when you change the job, it's probably like, in Japan, it's like much like less than other countries. But thing is like even like in San Francisco, probably like once a year, like once for every 2 years. It's not like you change job every 3 months, right? So that's why this like usage based on the existing behavior. How often do people want to change job, right? But thing is like when people wanted to change a job, they wanted to make sure probably they do have like a good understanding what they wanted to do for like specific companies. In that case, let's say like they're talking about funnel. This one is the main goal to change job, right? The thing is like talking about like one step earlier is like more like looking for the potential job for them, right? In that case, in terms of like usage, could be like a higher than of course like a changing job, right? Because you have like a 10 job opportunities, you're gonna think about this gonna fit or not, and then you do change job for like once a year, once for like every 2 years, right? So that's why it's like once or twice a year, right? And then second one is the Yelp. In Japan, it's probably like a Taberogu. It's like quite similar one. And then main purpose of the user is to find the local businesses and service and then review them, right? And then core action and the cycle could be the people who wanted to search the local business and the restaurant, search for the business twice or 3 times a week. You can think about how often you do have a meeting outside, how often you do go out, right? So that's the probably like, when you Google the information, it's like the same usage too. And then reviewer is like a slightly different. Some people, they wanted to share their experience about like specific business, restaurant, bar, cafe. In that case, some of them, not everyone, but thing is it's called like a reviewers. They write a new review once or twice a month, right? So if you think about it, like, maybe like a TikTok, like Instagram, some people, they do post every day. Some people, they don't want to post. They just want to see it too, right? Depends on kind of like users' behavior too, but everyone has, even though everybody uses like the same product, they do have a slightly different user behavior as well, right? And that one is Facebook. That's main purpose is stay connected with friends. And then course action cycle is a check in with friends and see what they are up to, right? And sharing or like, logging or use it twice or 3 times a day. So if we compare Facebook, Yelp, and LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn and Facebook is like the same type of like a social network service, LinkedIn is a business and professional. Facebook is more like a casual use case. The thing is like usage is like a completely different way. And Discord, probably some of like some of you guys use it. The main purpose is connect and communicate with the friends around playing PC games. Core action cycle is to open the app to see who wanted to play games and get on the live channel. And then usage is 3 or 4 times a week. Depends on how often you play game. So if you're gonna think about how often you play game before like having a Discord, that's basically like, once like Discord started to launch a product, you can think about when you play a game, basically same time you're gonna communicate with other people too, right? It's not necessary to have like only for like a console game. Maybe like some of them you guys play game the mobile, some of them you guys play a game on web too. So kind of like you can think about the time you play games, the same time basically you communicate with other people too, right? And then last one is Airbnb. This one could be like a good for Stan Davis. And main purpose is a good to book a place to stay, and core action is search and book trip options too, right? And then cycle is 3 or 5 times a year. Probably like, every people tend to travel every quarter, every 3 months. So it's not like people just going to travel every month, right? every week or a daily basis. So that's why usage is like a slightly low, and the main action is also like different too. So if you're gonna compare about like Yelp and Airbnb, even though looking for the same, it's basically same behavior too, right? Look for information, but like a type of information is different because Yelp is the more like look for like local business. In that case, existing like a behavior is when you go out, when you have like a coffee, when you have a meeting, etc., etc. However, we're talking about Airbnb, it's like the same user behavior to look for information about the place you're gonna stay. Means when you travel, right? Means like when you travel, it's probably like, once or twice or 3 times a year. But that's like even though same behavior, but like because of like depends on the usage and depends on the information is different. The usage is like different too, right? And then if you're gonna think about your service, how you can start to do it too, right? 3 simple questions. One is the track core users, right? And then 3 types of the segment you need to make sure. One is the top of mind. They come directly, not because of reminder notification or special deal. And then you can think about number of the percentage of the users with direct traffic / engagement. Means it's not like notification could be it's like you ask them to use it twice or 3 times, right? Basically, without you updating anything, people just gonna come back and keep using your product. These people are quite motivated and they could become a core users, okay? And then as you receive the many of like a notification from the app you download it on your phone, because the reason why this company they wanted to like send you notification is in order to make users stick to their product. So like they just kind of like push you to give like another reason that you need to come back to your product, right? But the thing is, for example, I use like LinkedIn like almost every hour. Like if I go to resume, if I have like a free time, I just check like LinkedIn because I do use like quite often. I don't need to have like any notification. Probably that's already built enough behavior. So I could like describe myself the core users of LinkedIn, right? And then second one is the recalling. And did they come back again and again, right? And then you can track a percentage of the users who return your product daily base, weekly base, monthly base, right? So any type of data depends on the service you're building. Of course, usage frequency is going to be different. However, you need to think about what's the difference. You have like 10 users, just 2 people, 2 users, they're going to come back to your product every week. The rest of like 8 people, they don't come back. And in that case, what's the difference characteristic of like a top 20% of users, which is like a 2 users and 2 customers, and the rest of like 8 users too, right? These are the 2 users. Ideally, they could become core users of your product. And then last one is, do they share it with others? That's considered, it's called like a K factors. Basically, it's a viral coefficiency. It's like how often is viral coefficiency is basically it's like how fast or how much viral spread to other people. That's why it's called like a viral coefficiency. And then percent of the users who are referrals. So let's say you have like 10 users, 2 of them they use weekly base, and also like 2 of them they refer to other people. Hey, like this could be like a good for you your users. So you can think about like what's the different like a characteristic of like a referrals, also like people don't refer your product. Let's take Kota's question. Oh yeah, Kota, I think I cannot hear you. Hey, yeah.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I just want to ask: do companies track refers by tracking the usage of referral codes, or do they use some other types of analytics data to track refers? And if so, how?
Yeah, you can do. That's like a great question. It's actually you can do both. But I think it's probably like early stage companies. Sorry, early stage companies could be easier to implement some kind of like a tracking link too, right? So it means when people share the link, let's say the end of like, let's say just like pick up like a Namaste too, right? I log in Namaste, upload it to my picture, or I just like, use Namaste as a live version. I use it, and then the end of like, probably after like I upload the picture, Namaste give me a feedback too, right? And then probably like 5 or 10 minutes later, Namaste just like, pop that window. Hey, you could share if like Namaste AI could be useful. And then if you can even like simplest one could be just make the like a referral, the link with a referral code, right? So it means like, bit.ly dot like some kind of like a stuff. You have click it, you have share to like a quota. At least you can see one user share with another user, right? Probably it could be like difficult. If I probably it could be like it probably I'm pretty sure like you can track who I share if you do have a login or sign up, right? Because it's like a part of like login, the end of like your product too. But thing is maybe another one could be if I share the link to you and if you click it, pretty sure that's these like tracking link. You can see if you click my share or not, right? And then another one is like this moment is just like you click the link, right? It doesn't mean you become a user, no, right? Because that's another conversion right there. Depends on like how you want to check what's like each like a specific conversion, because even the same behavior click, but doesn't mean you're gonna become users too, right? So that's why you need to have also like a target. You need to separate the cohort analysis. You want to make sure it's not just people click, or like you want to make sure people click and then people sign up, right? In that case, what's the different characteristic between people just click and people don't click? Well, at least like they show the interest too, right? In that case, you can probably improve the onboarding process too. Maybe like some people, they get idea quite quickly about Namaste, and then they sign up, and then they become users. Another one is they even though they click it, but they haven't seen the clear use case of like a product. That's actually you can improve like onboarding process too, right? If you click it, it's gonna move to like a landing page. Maybe like Namaste AI can show like a specific use case, like how you can use like a Namaste. This is the benefit. This is a good for like this type of people. Why don't you sign up, right? More like giving like a right information to like a potential users too. That's like a one part. Another one is of course, if you do build mobile app like iOS, Android. I mean, if you let's say the more you build, the better, and then product. Of course, you can have like better access for like any type of like users behavior. But thing is realistically speaking, at this moment, just like giving like a link and stuff could be like easier for you guys to track. How often do people share too, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? All right, cool. And then here, this one is an example for the analytics. Of course, depends on like the type of the services. You need to track different type of like a KPI. As we talked about like in last week, the usage wise, daily base, weekly base, monthly base is called like a DAO, WAU, MAU. Again, daily, weekly, / monthly active users. Conversion rate is, if you're gonna click it, sorry, it's not necessarily even like a click it. What's like a conversion rate from like this panel to like a next panel, right? This is just like a convert. How many people they converted from A to B? That's it. That's like a conversion rate, right? And then CTR is a click through rate. In that case, if you wanted to add it like a call to action button, how many people like they see these like a button, and how many people they click it, right? And then lifetime value is if you start to charge your product, how much ideal users they spend money for your product, right? When they start to use it, if they start to use like a Stan Davis, for example, how much they're gonna spend their product. Maybe like they come back to like a Stan Davis twice a month, twice a year. In that case, each trip it's cost like each booking costs like $200. In that case, if they use twice a year, in that case, lifetime value is like $400, right? Basically, how much they're gonna spend money. And from like once they start to use it, by the time they're gonna basically terminate your service, right? And then also like a CAC is like a customer acquisition cost. If you do not have the idea how much they're gonna spend time, if you can optimize how much you can spend money to acquire users, and the customer acquisition cost is any type of channels. You can use Facebook ads, Instagram, Google ads, anything, or even like a billboard. You need to think about when people see like specific ads, how much you're gonna spend time, how much you're gonna spend money to acquire one users, and that's basically it's called like a CAC, right? And then if you do have like a lifetime value, if you have like a CAC, you do have like a unit economy, means just generally speaking, how much they're gonna spend money for your product, how much you spend money to acquire these users. Means if you just if you spend $5, if users spend $4, even though if you acquire users, you are still negative, right? Because you spend like a $5, user just pay you like a $4. In that case, you have like $1 minus, right? However, if you can optimize your CAC, and then actually you can do like two things. If you optimize CAC, and then now you're spending $5, but what if you just spend like $1, right? In that case, user just still paying like $4, but you just started to pay just $1. In that case, you do have like a positive unit economy. You can make like a $3 per users, right? Another one is you cannot, that's coming from like a more marketing activities, because like marketers, they need to optimize what type of like a channel, what type of like campaign, what type of like contents, what type of specific targeting that could work better in order to reduce the CAC, right? And then another one is in order to increase the lifetime value, now you spend $5 and then user pay $4. It's again still negative. However, if your product team or customer success team, they succeeded to increase from $4 to $10, right? Actually, even though you are spending same amount of money, $5 to acquire users, but thing is users start to pay more money. In that case, you can basically become the positive unit economy, right? $5 you spend, $10 they spend money, right, for your service. So these ones again depends on like a type of like a metrics. Usually each team members or each department organization, they need to commit like a different type of activity. More like if you want to increase like the marketing side, that's more like coming from marketing side, or even like acquisition cost is coming from like sales activities. And then if you want to increase users like retention, etc., that coming from like a product side, that coming from like a customer success as well, right? And then this one is more like a product side of the activities. Session lengths, it's just simply speaking, how long they're gonna use your product. It could be a minutes right now, but you need to increase from like a minutes to like a 10 minutes too, right? So how you can increase users stickiness. And then another one is number of the session per users, right? The people use probably once a week right now. The thing is that how you can increase from once a week to twice a week. Maybe it could be more like 3 times a week. In that case, this one is again, it's coming from improving your product. And then that one is more like a cohort analysis. For example, like let's say, what could be like a good example? Talking about like Namaste.ai, right? What's the difference between? I mean, cohort is again. I mean, you guys probably know English too, but thing is, a cohort is just a group, right? And how you can make the category of like a specific group. It could be the people who sign up Namaste this month, or people sign up Namaste next month. So the cohort of like August, cohort of like September for New Year's too, right? Another one is maybe like as Rhythm is like trying to find out the way how to collaborate with the yoga instructor too, right? What's like different between who just sign up directly like Namaste, or people sign up through yoga instructor? What's the different like behavior, and what's the different like sickness there, right? This one is again just like a different type of like a cohort too. And then last one is the retention rate. Basically, how often do they use, and 20 or 30% of like the retention rate or not. You can divide it again, specific usage too. If people like sign up today, what's the retention rate of like a next week, right? If like 10 people like sign up today, like if you're gonna week 7 retention, if from 10 people, how many users they use. If you have like 3 users, they're gonna come back to a week later. In that case, you do have like a 30% retention rate a week later, right? That's called like a day 7 retention. But the thing is depends on again, it depends on the service of the users. Usage cycle frequencies are completely different. So it doesn't make sense, for example, like a Sunday base, you guys track users retention on daily basis, because again, nobody's gonna see the travel destination like a daily basis, right? The thing is probably every quarter. The thing is to do so, how you can make sure even you get 10 users. The thing is how you can make it faster. That's user make the booking through your platform too, right? That's probably important metrics too. This one is just example. Of course, depends on a type of business, depends on the type of service. You need to track different type of metrics. The thing is, I just listed kind of very the general. That's you can start to build your own KPIs, right? And then last one is more like a growth metrics. Week over week growth. If you get 5 users this time, if you get 7 users in 2 weeks, if you get 10 users, probably your weekly growth is 20% growing week over week, right? And then month over month growth is this month, let's say last month you get 10 users, and then this month you get 20, and then September you get 30 people. In that case, basically you are growing 10% month over month too, right? And then YOY is a year over year growth, basically to compare last year, this year, next year, what's a growth rate. But things a growth rate, you can pick up a specific number. You can talk about number of the users. You can talk about the active users. You can talk about the revenue. Depends on which subject you want to track. You can think about which time period you want to see weekly growth or a monthly growth or a yearly growth too. And then last one is a biological efficiency. We talk about a Pirates matrix too, right? In the end, after the revenue, you have a referral. So if people pay for your service, these users tend to become evangelists of your product because they already liked your product. Even pay money to use your service, it means they tend to refer your service to other people. Because if people are not happy, probably people are not keep paying for the service too, right? It means if they keep paying for your service, at least they are happy for your product. In that case, probably they tend to spread the love about your product to other people, right? Reference is only metrics that matters. Fancy side Josh Ellman, he used to work for Grey Rock Partners. His company got acquired by Twitter. And he became part of head of product of Twitter. And after that, he joined the Grey Rock Partners. Now he is part of I think Robinhood or a Coinbase. The thing is, he's really good at and the famous VCs in Silicon Valley, especially for a product background too. So I'm gonna share the link. If you guys have there's another one that you can do more analytics. But thing is that I think you guys don't need it to do it at this moment. You kind of start to think about how you can analyze the users' behavior, etc. at this moment. So if you do have any question, I researched a lot of his paper before, so I'm happy to discuss this week on the mentorship too. Any questions so far? Actually, this is the last slide. So. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe something to add also is it was a lot of data-driven metrics, which is great. But I'm thinking also of customer satisfaction rate, which is maybe more not objective or subjective. But I think it's something that is widely used and also something that can help the company understand how customers are happy with different products and tracking it over time as well.
100%. So like we talked about like week 4, week 5 about the user interview too, right? So based on like my experience, I think that when we had over like 500,000 users, at least like, we started to notice these users could be very useful because we cannot talk to each of them too, right? However, when you have like 10 users, when you have like 50 users, I would do like, spend or make effort, like tracking like tons of data because it just like, it doesn't have enough like sample data too, right? But instead of that, as Johannes said, I would fully focusing on like talking to users directly or just sending to like, I prefer not to get like NPS score. I mean, instead of like just getting like NPS score, the survey I share with you guys, like a must have a product that gives you like a much better insight based on my preference. Because like NPS score, like they give you like 6, 7, 8, and then based on my experience, I don't know what's the difference between 6 and 8, honestly speaking. If somebody give you like a 10 and if somebody gives like a 10, of course their feedback is like a completely different. But thing is like slightly like NPS score is just like they give you a score too, right? That's it. But thing is like not like finishing like at that point. Probably I'm gonna ask them why they give you like this score, right? What could be like useful for you? What we should have it? What doesn't work for you? At least like trying to get feedback from users too. So I think any of like a service that's once you guys launch it, number one, it is more useful that you could set up the user interview directly with them. And then if they are busy, you could probably, I mean, at this moment, you do have like probably 20 or 30 users too, right? In that case, once people just sign up, they start to use it. Maybe you can send it to the direct email. Hey, like we want to talk to you. You're busy this week. Like, could you give us the feedback about your product experience too, right? And then you can just create a form, send it to them. I'm happy to create a form to other teams too. It's like actually like quite useful to get the product feedback. Either like a user interview or like getting like the feedback through the form too. So I think Johannes, you're right. Like probably it's more makes sense. The more your company is like early stage, it's better not to use the data. More like focusing on just like talking to users, getting the right direct feedback from users too, because that gives like better, much more insightful for your product. Any other questions? From here, like what I would, yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
I want to know like some example that you of analytics where you applied yourself when you were working on your startups, like Foxy or any other one.
Yeah. Yeah. So how we did it too, right? I think I do not have like any the like the capture of the analytics data. Maybe like if I'm gonna like try to check like Google any of like a pictures if I took it or not. The thing is like our example could be one when we launched our product, we didn't know what we should track. At least the things we track was we created the spreadsheet, we created the number of like total users, number of like new sign up, number of like daily active users, number of like weekly active users. That's we did it at the beginning. So without like implementing any like a software, at least because the thing we wanted to do is that was probably around 100 to 200 people per second, first week or second week. So instead of for us, instead of like the product team, they're gonna work on like spending time to like implementing analytics. So I was just like one who's just like counting like a number of the users from the the database, just like checking. Oh, okay, today is like we got like a 50, we got like a 10 new sign up. That's like we did it, and then some point, like once users started to like scale it, we started to think about what type of like analytics tool could be useful or not. the things we did it was, again, of course, like we started to use like existing one, Google Analytics and different type of stuff too. But things we tested, the problem for us back then was as messaging apps slash like chatbot or bot were new, and then existing like a software they are not the best solution for us. And otherwise, basically we couldn't implement their tools to our service at the beginning because we started to work on like Foxy like 2015, so it was like quite new. And then some of like my friends' companies, for example, Yushuan too, right? She joined the week 3 or week 4 fireside chat. These like new tools, they build analytics tool, especially for like the messaging apps. So we started to use the kind of new analytics tool that may work or not. But in the end, this one was good. But thing is that we wanted to have like a better cohort analysis. So that's why. And then each like a service has, even though service is same, but thing is like service is like the same platform. However, the usage is different, depends on the product too, right? And then we wanted to see like the specific usage for like a specific feature, but that's why only choice we had was basically we built entire analytics tool like by ourselves. The Redash is just like existing like a service. You can basically customize everything. You can implement, you can visualize based on your preference. And then us, for our case, is like we just track number of like total sign up, number of like daily active users, daily, weekly, monthly, and then what's like top 20 or top 30% of users, and then like how often do they use it? That's kind of like we build it. If I do have like any type of like a screenshot, I'm happy to share with you guys too. Let me get back to you on that one, the Slack later.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Right. The thing is, at this moment, for I mean, you guys have like database too, right? And if you do not have like probably 100 or like 1,000 users, probably it could make sense just like create like a spreadsheet, and then just like every Monday you track, right? August 2nd, August like 9th, August 16th, August like 25th. You do have like a weekly analytics every week, number of the sign up, number of like active users, how often do they use it? The simple thing you can like check it too. Because I didn't spend like that much time on just like implementing like a perfect analytics tool, because you still don't know, your product may be changed in the future too, right? Depends on the user feedback too. So that's why, especially for incubation stage startup, when you launch product, it's more makes sense that you're gonna spend more time to get feedback by talking to users directly. Any other questions? Cool. In that case, we can wrap up this one, and then we can talk to on Slack, right? Let me stop. Pause. All right, sounds good. In that case, see you guys on Slack, and then looking forward to talking to you guys tonight and tomorrow too.
The screenshot?